Thank you. All right, we call the meeting in order. Members present, all besides Danny Olmsted and Mike Mossman, and we'll rise for a pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to public comment. Anyone from the public like to come up and speak on our agenda? Seeing no takers, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there any member want to pull anything out of the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Knudsen, is there a second?
Second.
By Jankowski. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda passed. On to student highlights. Ladies.
Hi everyone, as we're entering a new spring trimester, it's a busy time with sports, graduation coming up, prom, and other activities. We're kicking this week off with track trials Tuesday at St. Cloud and a speech invitational Friday against Howard Lake Waverly. It's exciting to start the spring sports soon, with meets and practices being very weather dependent. Student Council is also working on planning out prom and working to have ticket selling days, drilling the lunches at school, and also decorating days to help the spirit in the school for prom. Me and Ava are both in Student Council, so if you have any questions or concerns about prom, just reach out to one of us and we'll try to bring it up at the meeting. Prom is May 2nd at the winery this year. We're moving Grand March to 7 p.m. at the high school. Tickets for the prom dance will go on sale April 1st online, followed by ticket sales at the lunches about 2 weeks prior. We don't have an exact date yet, but once we do, it'll be sent out to the students. And Grand March tickets are also going to be available during those lunch sales. They will also be sold at the door, but there's a limited amount, so plan to get your tickets ahead of time. And then reminder for the students, if you're going to bring a guest, you're going to have to fill out a form that you get from Singer Towns, and then there is going to be details to come about all of this, and students in junior and senior grades will get an email about that.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I just want to go ahead and highlight a few different volunteer activities that the high schoolers been involved in. So this coming Saturday, we're volunteering at the Tim Worth event. This is through both Key Club and NHS. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the organization, but they support families in central Minnesota, and they give money to children facing illness or injury. And so it's really meaningful to volunteer at this event. It's great to see students get involved. We're also doing the Polar Plunge soon. And so that's a really fun event that brings a lot of students and staff together. And our business marketing class at the high school has been advertising for that. So that's been really great. And then also we have a busy academic stretch coming up. We have AP tests the first and second week of May. And then the juniors are taking their ACT soon. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions about the Polar Plunge. Are either of you taking the plunge?
Well, I'm signed up, but I'm not doing the plunge.
Explain that one.
Okay, well, you can still, raise money for it.
Okay.
With, jumping. I'm too chicken for it.
And you've informed all the people giving you money that you're not going to do it?
Not exactly.
Do we have Mr. Diet signed up for that? I was wondering that myself.
I'm a good spectator.
Got it. Well, I will admit that would never be me, so no judgment.
Very good. Okay. Thank you. All right, on to Tiger Time.
Good evening.
Hi.
I'll do the Polar Plunge if it's like Saturday. If it's 80 degrees, sign me up. I'm here to talk a little bit about our Park Tigers Positive Behavior Program. I've done this for 20 years, and I don't think I ever touched on this program, so I'm kind of running out of things to talk about, but I found this one is something that I haven't really talked much about, and we kind of redid it a little bit when we broke off from Tiger and Park. So I thought I'd share with you kind of our overall, kind of our guide for behavior and what we want kids to learn as they go through Park Elementary. That it's not necessarily reading or math, but very important as they move on into middle school and high school and then the rest of their lives. So We came up with some characteristics that we thought we want our kids to have, and this was a team of teachers that we kind of looked into just some, what are the things we want kids to have? And we came out with teamwork, independence, grit, everyone counts, responsible, and self-control. And of course, its acronym there is TIGER. So we highlight each of these positive character traits each month of the year. So we start off with teamwork, then go to independence in November. We do that for a couple months. January, we throw in attendance because of it's January and it's hard to get up sometimes in the cold mornings. So we talk about attendance there. Then we move back to our Tigers character traits with grit in February, March, everyone counts, responsibility in April, and then self-control in May. So those we do a heavy emphasis on those months during that time. So in each classroom and in each area, we kind of we know that this is something we can't just tell kids once and they know it. So we talk about teamwork in our learning areas. We talk about independence, and this would be like a classroom poster that we would have. What does grit look like in a classroom? Everyone counts. Responsible, self-control. So we have that not only in the learning areas, but we have them in the even a restroom. We've got it's respect privacy, and grit, follow directions, keep space clean. It's really, these are important things. We know that kids, sometimes they need to be taught these things. So we have it in our hallways, cafeteria, buses, everything. So we have posters that outline what teamwork, independence, grit, everyone counts, responsible looks like in each of these areas, being very specific to what they can, what it looks like. So we really spell it out for the kids. We also, in the month that we're kind of highlighting it, each of the characteristics, we have a story that is read, or we read it, or the teacher reads, or I read it to the students that kind of connects to that character trait. So here's one that's called This Way, Charlie, and it's about everyone counts. At the end of each book, we go through kind of a discussion question with kids on how, once they read that, how that relates to them or how it relates to the characters, and trying to find the author's purpose. A little bit of MCA talk in there as well. But then we try to make it, how do you think that they show that tiger character trait? So an example, this is a book called Whoosh, and it's the month of grit. So like we would ask some of these questions. How did Lonnie demonstrate grit? So they're starting to learn it, apply it, identify it in their during that month and throughout the school year. So what does grit look like in your life? And then we talk about grit, and that's kind of a fun one for kids to talk about because they have all kinds of experiences where they feel like they've shown grit.
Last week, our fourth grade.
We also, I forgot to, I was going to mute the next slide and then have the other way we do is on a daily basis, like during the month of whatever character trait is, on our morning announcements that students help create, we talk about, what that character trait looks like, and we might have examples. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and play it. This is a fourth grade girls basketball team and then the kids talk about what, I think this one was on attendance, but it talks about, being a team and whatnot. So it's a good example for those kids to kind of see that character trait outside of school as well.
Last week, our fourth grade girls played during halftime during the Hutchinson girls basketball game. All of these girls know how important it is to have a good attendance during their practice. Why? Attendance matters in sports because being present is part of being a teammate. Every practice, workout, meeting, and game is designed to help you improve, build trust, and prepare the team for success. When you miss, you don't just fall behind, you impact the entire group.
So that's daily, we try to include something about the tiger character traits all the way throughout the year. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's a little long. Sometimes kids volunteer their footage from, it could be a hockey game, it could be a swim, or it could be some other kind of theater that they're in. It just is something where they can see what the character trait looks like playing out in real life. We also include this in our, like, here's our behavior. So this is more me. So when I deal with kids with behaviors, I will have them come in, and if it's below the line or bottom line kind of behaviors, we talk about what is the character trait that you didn't that you missed here on. So they might say, well, I wasn't being very respectful. I did not. I show that everyone counts because I was name calling. I was doing put downs, or I wasn't responsible because I, didn't, bring my work to class or whatever, or I knocked a student's Chromebook on the floor or whatever. So we talk about the character trait in the moment of when we're trying to fix our behaviors, and then we talk about it. We also could write about it, so hopefully it's something that sticks with them. So we use it in our behavior fix-it plans. We talk about it at the beginning of the year, all the different characteristics and what it looks like. So on the left, you see kids coming in when they're supposed to. So this is hard, when kids go out for resets, it's sometimes hard to come in right away. And that bell is awfully fast. So it's about, being responsible, getting in on time. We have just how do we act in the hallway. We need to show self-control. And then maybe we're down in the cafeteria, lining up, waiting, and being patient. Everyone counts. We don't want to budge in front of others. So those are the things that we kind of talk about, excuse me, during the morning announcements as well, just to kind of give an overview right away at the beginning of the year what all these character traits really mean. So on the bus, there's a lot of different character traits there that you can identify. We're out waiting, being responsible during a fire drill on the left-hand side, waiting patiently. So just we talk about these things constantly at the beginning of the year and what that looks like, kind of to set up the year for really a good behavior and for kids to really practice some of these really important character traits. Each week we have a link that our staff will nominate students. So let's say it's self-control month. They nominate students who they see are showing self-control. So it's not necessarily like maybe at West and Tiger, I think they have a sticker or something that they go home and the parent will ask. We kind of do it in a different way. We feel sometimes that it's great for the younger students, but as they get a little older, we want them to do it not for a sticker, but we want them to exhibit it on during the day all the time, no matter if anyone's looking or not. So we call them spies. They're just all staff at Park Elementary can fill out a link that nominates students for let's say self-control or responsibility. After on the Friday of every week, we pull out of a hat 2 students, 1 fourth and 1 fifth, that showed that characteristic. So we call them spies, and then they get to choose lunch with Mr. O, which they rarely do.
Just gonna ask.
I wish but there's a lot of other fun things here that they actually enjoy doing. But art with Miss Cedarstrom, or playing with our bearded dragon that Mr. Durheim has. A hot one is Mrs. Waffles makes waffles. They sit and eat waffles. Sometimes I get invited to go have a waffle, which is like a highlight of my Friday. And then library with Mrs. Fairbanks could be 100 cards from Mr. Tillman. Morning recess with Mrs. Check. So those are things that they can draw from if they're chosen. They get put in the morning announcements, their picture, we celebrate them for that. And then at the end of the month, everyone who is nominated gets their certificate showing like in this case, it's G in grit, that they get a certificate to show their parents, or put it up on their fridge or whatever they want to do at home, just to show that they showed that characteristic, and we celebrate that together. Our Character Strong is a program that our counselors come in and teach a lesson each week. Really touches on some of the characteristics. We bring it up there to make it kind of fit and keep it in focus for them during our Character Strong, which is our SEL curriculum. It talks a lot about, you know, focusing, organizing, goal setting, how to interact with each other, relationships, strategies, emotional regulation. So we work in all of our character traits during that time as well with our Character Strong curriculum that they do. So it's a real, they get it in all different areas throughout the day, throughout the school year. At the end of each trimester, they rate each characteristic on how they think they do. So kids actually have a rubric. We have a little lesson that we have that students partake in, and they do a self-reflection on how they think they're showing their teamwork, independence, grit. Everyone, you know, there's one exact like this for the other three, and then they circle the area that they think that where they land right now, and then kind of make a goal as to where they hope to be in the future. So we all want them to be at that meets at some point during their time at Park. So there's a nice self-reflection that kids do that gets put on the actual report card for our students at Park Elementary. So that kind of wraps it up. It's kind of a quick view of what really drives us at Park Elementary when it's not reading and math, but it's an important part. We know how important it is for when, you know, these character traits when kids get out into our community and or someday be our neighbors at home, that these are really important things to have. So, any questions?
No, just a comment. I really like that because I think that you're letting the kids learn to lead themselves by analyzing their own behaviors. And then when you've got the kids out there on the basketball team and they're talking about it, then I think that's really good because they're learning to lead the other kids. And then maybe the kids who aren't as, I don't know, as brave can think, oh, well, maybe I can do a little bit of leading too, not just themselves, but the other kids. So I think that's really great.
Yeah, it's definitely they definitely will listen to their classmates, sometimes more so than their principal. It's important, but their peers are important at this age. So,
and definitely more so than their parents.
Sometimes. Yeah.
So who developed this curriculum?
Well, this is we have a kind of a behavior positive PBIS team, we call it, that meets throughout the year. And then we continue to work on these things. So
I like it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the update. On to Mr. Dietz.
Good evening. Administration continues to meet to make the necessary reductions to have a balanced budget for the 2026-2027 school year. Strategic planning continues. The hope is to be finished in May, and then we would have one last session for the school board to do in June. That's been going well. We have one coming up on April 8th, and then the school board's going to get involved in a few with their work sessions in April and May as well, and June. In-person interviews for the position of activities director will be taking place this coming week at the high school, and I will be involved in those along with some other people that are going to be on the committee, and we have good candidates, so we're looking forward to having them come in and do their interviews and seeing how they do. I met with Tom Gifferson, the police chief, and we are finalizing the 2026-2027 SRO contract. That should be ready no later than May for us to look at that. I will be doing an all-day building visit in the middle school. I know that sounds strange because I'm already in the middle school, but I actually pick up and go somewhere else. Otherwise, it looks like I'm still in the district office. So I'll be going there, sending something out tomorrow, and then hopefully I can see some classrooms and do some visits that way. And then also I'll be going to Park Elementary on April 1st. In April, I will be meeting with Minnesota Senator Glenn Gruenhagen and House of Representative Don Gilman, and we'll be discussing issues that are affecting our public schools. So I'm looking forward to that and connecting with them and having that opportunity to have a discussion. I want to thank Greg Ewing for stepping in as our interim activities director. He'll be there until June 30th, 2026. and he's perfectly fine with us finding his replacement because he does not want that as a permanent job. So that was a great opportunity for us to have him come in and step in, and he is doing a really good job, and then giving us time to find somebody. For a legislative update, there's not a whole lot to report other than the governor's supplemental budget came out, and you might have noticed that he added an extra $50 million of reductions to the $250 million that needs to be reduced from our special ed programs in the state. This is not for next year, this is for the year after. And so instead of the committee that is selected in the state trying to cut $250 million, they're now, if they were to follow his budget, they'd be cutting $300 million. But that has to also be agreed to by the legislature. But it was not an addition or a good thing for our budgets in Minnesota. But he did recommend an extra $50 million to be reduced. We'll have to see where that all ends up coming through. For negotiations, I'm happy to report that HESP has a TA from our March 12th mediation session, and I believe they were doing informational sessions last week, and I think they're going to be voting this week, and maybe by next Monday we'll have the results of their vote. If they do vote it through, then we would bring it to you on April 27th at our school board meeting. And then I'm also happy to report that Local 284 has a TA as well, and that was done last week on March 20th during our negotiation meeting. We hadn't met for over 3 months because there were just some medical things going on with one of their state people that helps them. So it had been some time before we had sat down, but once we did, we were able to get to a TA, and they will be reviewing their draft over the next contract over the next 3 weeks. And then if they pass it, we'll also bring that one on April 27th. So good news on that. Any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Scott? Thank you, Dan.
All right, a few district highlights. One of them was from the middle school, the Minnesota Honor Band 2026 South Central Region. Congratulations to these 3 students. Dominic Johnson, who's a 7th grade tuba player, and Berkeley Letitia is an 8th grade trumpet player, and Jasper Von Gorkum is an 8th grade clarinet player for being selected to play in the 2026 Middle School Honors Band that was hosted at Chaska High School on Saturday, February 28th. So congratulations to those musicians for being selected to be part of that honor band. A few more things from middle school. Students participated in the 6th grade Regional Math Masters of Minnesota competition on March 5th, and that took place here in Hutchinson at Peace Lutheran. Caden Anderson, Stoph Becker, Carson DeHue, Amelia Machado, Isaiah Modino, Darby Nelson, Bennett Olberg, Graham Smith, Colton Tupero, and Owen Whitcomb. And these students competed in 3 different competitions. There was fact drill, individual round, and a team round. In a 5-minute fact drill competition, Owen Whitcomb tied for 1st place, and Bennett Olberg finished 3rd place. There was also an individual problem-solving round. Bennett Olberg took 4th, and Stoph Becker took 7th. And that was out of 93 competitors for both of those categories. And then out of 20 teams, the team of Becker, Modino, Nelson, Olberg, and Whitcomb took 4th place in the team competition, and then Anderson, DeHue, Machado, Smith, and Tupero took 7th. So congratulations to all of those students who took place, and thanks to Coach Taylor McIntoon for coaching. And there's a picture of all happy students on there. I checked to make sure all of them were smiling and in the picture, and they all look happy at their competition. They should be, so congratulations. And food service, Ann Hillstrom, our outreach coordinator, sent in on behalf of the food service a contest to the Minnesota Department of Education, and they were awarded school breakfast champion. Just based on this next picture, you can see it's probably something you want to hang up in your house. It looks, Nick, you shouldn't even touch it, that way everything is placed so well and looks very nice. So that was also recognized in the Minnesota Department of Education bulletin that goes out on their nutrition bulletin. So I know that our food service definitely has a lot of pride and a lot of hard work. That's been ongoing for many, many years, especially with Farm to School. We've had a lot of accolades, so it's just another showcase of talents for food service.
You should put that on Facebook.
We could do that. MCAs are going to be starting up here in April. We'll be training. We did start some already at the high school, which again, we'll continue to revisit our strategic plan. We've tried to incorporate some more incentives as well, especially at the secondary levels in terms of how things might affect their grading based on how they perform. So families, it's important to be looking for any communication that's coming forward from schools about talking to your children about doing the best and taking them seriously. And it's not only for themselves, but also it's not the end-all be-all of tests, but it is one gauge of our school district, and we do take it seriously and important. So best to our spring activities. I know they're beginning a lot of their seasons already and practices, and looks like the weather's going to be cooperating, so good luck to all of our students. I know Dan spoke about the AD process. In terms of other job openings, we have 35 individual or I guess unique categorical job openings. That doesn't mean that there's only 35 positions open. There are, if there's a posting for special education assistants, I know we have 17 of those, so there's probably more like around over 50 individual job openings. Everything from substitutes to things in our activities, teachers, cooks, cook substitutes, etc. So continue the community to be looking at our job postings that are located on our website, and if there's any availability at all, to keep that in mind or share that out for people that might mention wanting to work for the school district. And then finally, our Comprehensive Achievement Civic Readiness, formerly known as World Best Workforce meetings, is tomorrow night. This time we're going to have a number of curricular purchases coming forward. We have got areas of language arts, social studies, not only because of the new standards, but because we haven't ordered curriculum for many number of years. So thanks to our finance committee, I know it's been talked to. Dan and Becky have both talked about how we can commit because we have not, probably in some of these areas for a number of years, over a dozen or more years, ordered updated resources, and we've tried to follow the process with the new standards to not only line it up to that, but pace it out budgetarily as well. So there's been a lot of work that has happened with our departments. It's been a goal of mine as we started with the standards. I think it started with FIAD and Health, where we started to look at those processes all the way through, and we'll be starting over again with them because those standards we'll be starting over again here in a few years. But that's been the cycle, the process, and a lot of hard work that our teachers have looked at to find the right resources that they feel that they would like to use, line up to the standards, and then there'll be a lot of work coming forward with implementing it and working through using the new resource. So some more to come on that tomorrow night. Thanks.
I do have a question about the MCA incentives
Yes.
at the secondary level. You have ideas on that,
Well,
or you already come
yes,
to
they
that?
were looking at, for example, the science has started, and whether that, if meeting that standard or meeting, because we do get the results back, preliminary results back within 60 minutes, and if they are, if they meet it or exceed that benchmark, then would potentially not have to take their final test in the class if they don't choose to. And it's not going to count against them or count for them. Now students still could choose to do that based on whether they want to or not, or whether they want to continue to improve their grade, but trying to have a little more incentive stake in the game to see how it might matter to students. So
All right, thank you.
something that some other school districts have talked about doing, and can't really talk about how it's gone so far, but we'll be able to speak more to that as we go forward, just to not release any type of hints at all of how students are doing.
So we don't get the full results until the next year, but you do get preliminary results?
You do get preliminary
right?
results in the testing system within about 60 minutes after students, and we can tell students those results. We can talk about them internally, we just can't hint at all publicly about them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Ms. Bowl?
My report tonight is the revised budget update.
All right. All right, Dan, back to you.
Yep, if you take a look at the achievement and integration, this is something that we started out 3 years ago, if you remember, with Glencoe Silver Lake. There's a formula that the state uses to look at disparities in students and their race and that type of thing. At that time, Glencoe did qualify, and once you qualify, initially you qualify for 3 years. So we were their partners. You can have more than one, but it was just them and us. They are not going to qualify after this year, and so for us, it's about, well, you'll see in the budget, it's about $214,000. So either we found another partner, or we made $214,000 worth of reductions on top of what we're just reducing. So I reached out to Lester Prairie, the superintendent there, and they do qualify for next year still. And they're with Howard Lake, Waverly, Winstead, and I asked if we could jump on as a, we don't join them because we don't touch their district, but we can be invited, and they said yes. And so I have gotten this plan together and this budget together in time. It had to be in on March 15th, so I told her that we'd be coming tonight though to do the signature piece if it goes through, and she was fine with that. And so the plan itself has to be approved by the school board. Basically, the plan allows us to fund what we call success coaches in all our buildings. And so we take our counselors and our interventionists who aren't being already paid by another source of money, and this can pay for them to work with kids, to work on reading, math, social skills, that kind of thing. Mostly reading, though, is what this plan is all about. And then we have to come up with targets to try to reduce like the achievement gap or other kinds of targets that we want to see the buildings achieve. And then I have to get that into the plan and give strategies and things. It also funds Andrea Moore and her salary and benefits over at the high school for being the Tiger Path coach, because that is a big program for our kids to be successful, and so they allow that also to be funded. So basically, it's basically paying for our success coaches, Andrea Moore, and then also you have to do some activities with the other school districts that you're with. So maybe like some field trips, maybe an art day, something. We haven't quite come up with it yet, but that's in there. And so there's the plan right now that's that I've got done in here, and then there's the budget. The budget doesn't have to actually be approved by you guys because it's in our bigger budget, but I put it in there so you could see just how all the money kind of plays out. But basically, it's 100% going to students. So, any questions?
Do the amount of partners you have change what your...
No.
It's all the same. So
Yep.
You could have 4 partners, 5.
You could, yep. The only difference is the district that qualifies gets more money than the others because they are they're called the isolated districts, and they have to do some more things by being that district that qualifies. But everybody, it's a per student amount, so it doesn't matter if you have 6 or. I know that when I was in Minneota, we had like 7. It was YME and Renville and Montevideo and us and Ivanhoe. I mean, there was like 7 of us. It didn't matter. You still got the same per student amount. Yeah. Yeah.
So the coaches get in on this. Do the principals have input on the goals that they're working for too? Or?
Well, the goals are very specific. I don't have a lot of latitude. They have to be MCA goals. And so what I do is I go in and look at the data from last year and where the gaps are. And basically, those are my goals because that's kind of, it has to be based on some of that. But they do get the goals now after this is approved because they, just to make them aware of what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Question, Dan.
Yes.
What happens to Glencoe?
Glencoe
Can they
has to
jump onto somebody
They have
else?
to also decide to go out and find somebody else, or they just won't get the funding anymore. I'm not sure how they're handling it. I know he was working on that over there too. And so you can be invited into any. It's just that you want the drive time to be close enough if you're going to do stuff together.
Right.
But he could also go out. Sibley has one. Yeah, there's others. There's Renville. but they had the same issue.
But they couldn't hop on to this one?
They could have hopped onto this one. I'm not sure he tried on that. Yeah.
All right, any other questions on this? All right. Is there a motion to approve the achievement and integration plans presented?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Pullman, is there a second?
Second.
Diane, the second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, the plan is passed. Back to Ms. Bull.
Okay, good evening. For board approval tonight, we have a revised current year 2025-2026 budget. If you walk back in time to the summer, under statute, we had to have a preliminary budget in place before July 1, so we did that business in June. Now we've been tracking all of the various expenses and revenues throughout the district for the past 6-7 months. And now we are bringing forward a revised estimate. So it remains a spending plan. It's subject to change. We're going to continue to monitor staffing, enrollment, legislative activity at the state, federal level, any executive pieces that may come our way. And then we're going to continue to make revisions between now and the end of the school year as well. But this is considered our major revision for this school year. With respect to the main drivers of the budget, as you know, enrollment and personnel costs are the key drivers for both sides of the equation. We are budgeting for 2,562 students at the end of this school year. You can see on the chart that we're a district with gradually declining enrollment. We've lost 307 students since 2011. We've been proactive and we've looked to right-size our budget as we go. Towards the end of the presentation, we'll reflect on the $5.5 million that we've cut over the last 10 years. And we'll talk about what we're planning for next year in light of this revision as well. We always like to reflect too at this point in the year, how did we do with respect to our projections on a grade level by grade level basis? We have more students than we anticipated in 11th and 12th grade. As we've discussed in the last few months, we integrated a voluntary pre-kindergarten program in our early childhood department. In December, we were notified about that funding, so you can see that we have a new category to track up on the chart. Similar to last year, we had weaker than anticipated enrollment in 6th and 7th grade, and then 10th grade. The rest of the grade levels were pretty close and are tracking pretty close to what we had anticipated. Spend most of our time this evening on the general fund, which is our largest operating fund. We are anticipating $38.4 million in revised revenues. This is up $626,000 from what we anticipated in June. The key revisions have to do with special education aid. When we recalculated, we're estimating that to be $263,000. And with respect to special education, you know that's a reimbursement formula, so the majority of that has expenses to match. And then, of course, with the revised enrollment, we're still anticipating a 42 student decline, but that is improved from what we thought would happen in the summer. So we are factoring in 263,000 additional, $315,000 additional in general education aid by revising those estimates up. Then on the flip side, with respect to general fund expenses, we are anticipating $38.642 million. This is 25,000 fewer relative to what we were anticipating last summer. There is a lot of moving parts. I'm going to highlight the key pieces just so that you guys can see the story of the school year kind of behind the numbers. So we modeled a decline of 144,000 in special education assistants based on vacancies that we're not able to fill. In addition to that, though, we've reallocated 56,000 of those dollars into health insurance benefits for the special education assistants who have been willing to take on more hours to try to cover for some of those vacancies that we have. And so we wanted to make sure that we put money then into the health insurance area. Non-special education personnel costs came in $46,000 lower than anticipated. One thing I want to note there is we still have assumptions in the budget for our hourly staff. That's half the district, approximately, in bodies. You did hear tonight that we have tentative agreements, but when this went to press a couple of weeks ago, we didn't have that information, and then it'll take the month of April to run through the process with the voting and the ratification. We'll run retro in May. By the time we run retro, I don't think it's going to make sense in June to do another budget revision because we're going to be in the thick of setting up next year's budget. So for the sake of this fiscal year, we're using assumptions the entire year for those hourly personnel costs. Also in the general fund, we're generating $143,000 in benefit cost savings because we have employees leaving the health insurance plan during open enrollment and then at the halfway point through the fiscal year because a lot of spouses, partners, family members are enrolling in benefits November, December timeframe. So where did we put that money? We put that money into subs. The new state programs for ESST and paid leave have required additional licensed subs. It's very difficult to find non-licensed, but we are able to locate, for the most part, licensed subs. I know not every day looks that way, but we do have a better fill rate with those. And then we have a lot more long-term subs, which are direct hired versus coming to us through Kelly Services. So we needed to increase the budget to cover those leaves. We also added $87,000 for special education transportation routes related to new students or new student needs throughout the district. And then we added $86,000 in contracted service providers in various locations throughout the district. So the slide here is the compliance piece where we need to show our projected fund balances as of June 30th. In the unassigned fund balance, which is truly the piece of our funding that is under board control, we are projecting a $260,000 deficit, which for all intents and purposes is a break-even budget. It's slightly better than what we were anticipating in the summer. When you take a look at the line above that in the general fund, you're seeing a deficit of $960,000, but I just want to be very, very clear that that number includes the operating capital spend down, where we're earmarking reserve funds for the curriculum adoptions you heard about earlier today, and then the technology replacements that we talk about frequently. There were very minor calculation adjustments in transportation, community service, building construction, debt service, trust, student activities. However, I want to make two comments, one on food service and one on the self-insurance fund. In food service, as you know, we're running the Universal Meals Program again this school year, and it has been a very expensive, it's a very, very good program, but it is expensive. And we are increasing our revenue and expense projections by about $200,000. We are setting a goal, like we do with all of our funds, to run a break-even budget. What that's meaning for food service right now, though, is we need to moderate our reinvestment in equipment and facility projects in the kitchens because we have a really significant pace of inflation with food and supplies that we factored into the budget. Second comment I'd like to make is on the self-insurance fund. You notice an $800,000 spend down to $2.2 million. That's for year 2 of the self-insurance allocations to employees based on the MOUs we have in place to reallocate those dollars to staff during the past few years when we've had really high insurance renewals. We're in the process of working through the renewal for next year. Insurance committee is going to be meeting this week on Wednesday, and there's a little bit of relief in sight. So I just wanted to share that as well. Let's see. This is all in accordance with our fund balance policy, and a natural follow-up question is what impact does this have on projections for next year and the budget reduction target that the board set at the end of January. The change is not enough to move the needle on needing to reduce more or less. So we continue to work as an administrative team to put together a $375,000 reduction package since expenses continue to outpace revenues in our district. The range is going to be reevaluated though as we work through the legislative session at the state level, so that we'll factor those things in as we plan as an admin team. We're going to shift gears here after the adoption tonight to be working on all of the details of the operational budgets for next year. We've already spent quite a bit of time, I think 7 or 8 meetings administratively, to put together a staffing plan for next year that would include the cost containments. And as we talked about previously, it's been increasingly challenging to find a package that will work considering the class size targets we've set and the special education needs that we've established and reviewed. So it's really important that we keep the dialogue going about revenue generation as well. And so it's appreciated that we'll continue that discussion at the end of the month. With that, I can take any questions you might have, and then we can move towards adoption.
You've got that decrease in funding that the governor has already projected, right? The 350 million or whatever.
So my understanding with that is that will start to impact school districts in 2028 and 2029. Okay. So right now, tonight we're talking solely about the current year budget, and then in the next couple months we'll talk about 27. For the next year, we're watching compensatory very closely.
Good. Aaron? Well, Ms. Bowe, I'd like to just say thank you to the admin team for hitting a very close target on the budget there, so please let everyone know. I know 200 and some thousand sounds like a lot, but 100%, that's pretty tight. So congratulations to all of you guys.
Well, hopefully we can deliver it. It's a spending plan. We'll keep allocating and reallocating. Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions, does somebody would like to make a motion to approve the revised budget as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Sarah Pullman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Aaron Knutson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Close same sign, the budget revised, or accepted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Wall. All right, on to board member topics. Resolution accepting donations. Aaron or Sarah, do you guys like to do the thank you for the community speech? It's a very important one.
I would love to. I would love to thank the community for all of the donations that they've made to our district within the last quarter. As everyone who's watching, everyone in this room is aware by now, every quarter we have the privilege of reviewing all of the donations have been made to our district over that period of time. And obviously we are appreciative for any donations to the district. And this quarter we are at $27,240.31, bringing it to a grand total of $141,486.12, which is amazing when you think about a community of our size that gives that much back to us. So very grateful for the continued support. Thank you.
I would also like to add, this is year to date, not the full year. So we can anticipate there'd be more generosity over the rest of the year, and that number will look bigger. So it's pretty impressive.
Thank you. All right, this is.
Motion and second. Oh,
I'm working on it.
Oh. Want me a motion to approve the donations? I would love to.
All right.
Thank you.
There's a motion by Aaron Knutson. Is there a second?
Sarah did that.
Second.
Second by Sarah Pullman. Any discussion? This is a roll call vote, so Ms. Knutson?
Aye.
Garrett Luthen's aye.
Aye.
Shankowski? Pullman?
Aye.
All right, resolution is passed. Thank you to the community.
Yes.
On to the committee reports. Facilities.
Okay, there's a lot going on in the facilities. Most of the things have been ongoing for a while. I know everybody's heard about the windows that need repair. There's still some windows that the facilities group is working on. The roofs, that's a concern coming up too. There's been some repairs, but going forward, we will have to look at replacing roofs on different buildings going forward. They just wear out. You know, some of these are getting close to 30 years old. When that happens, that's pretty much about all it's gonna, all it is. The roof doesn't last forever. Let me see. The auto shop lift had failed, but that's replaced, so the young folks over at the high school are using it again. They saved $500 on the auto shop lift, which I was quite happy with. The stage curtains, those are a newer style. It will cost us, but it's worth it because they have to be fire rated. So let's see, the tennis court, there was a pole that broke. That's in the works to get fixed. Let me see. Let's see. So that one too it's an older pole. There's not much on the insurance on that left. It is what it is. Let's see, the pool still needs some work. We're probably not going to be starting on that till the end of April, beginning of May, just because the pool is going to be pretty busy. Let me see, summer projects coming up. We've got West, the kitchen. There's some updates in there. And I think that's about it. So, thank you.
Thank you. On finance, Ms. Bowman?
The only thing I have to report is that our revenues are at 61%. Our expenses are at 60% right now, and that is on track. All other things that we discussed were mentioned by Dan, Mike, and Rebecca. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. On Parks and Rec, Ms. Knudsen?
We met earlier this month and spent a good chunk of the meeting with Lynn Newman giving a report about all of the wonderful ongoing activities at the senior center in town. We do that annually just to review new programming and usage of that facility, but it is heavily utilized by our seniors in the community, and a project that in a place that we hope can keep going for many years to come. And then I think probably the more maybe pertinent information for the community to know is that the Parks, Recreation, and Community Education brochure is online and available for viewing for summer activities. The paper version is due to be mailed this week, or at the end of this week, beginning of next week, and then registration will open on April 8th at 9 a.m. That is all.
Thank you.
If I can just send my own message over to PRCE, it is appreciated that we get those paper copies. I think there are a lot of people within the community that sign up for things because it actually shows up at our home. So.
Yes, we have to remember that the brochure goes to all different ages and ranges and people in different internet activity, connectability. So it's nice that there is that option still. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize when they say community education, it is from birth to death. Our community is being supported, and that's pretty awesome.
It is.
Very good. We're going to move past technologies. For reports, we have our upcoming board meetings and committee meetings. And if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Knudsen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned. I need you to gavel. Thank you.